Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh, is in midst of a tense political crossroad. A city of constant motion felt noticeably quiet on Thursday, the 13th of November, as schools in Dhaka switched to online mode and traffic was thinner in the streets that usually teem with buses, rickshaws and pedestrians. The city was under a lockdown called by the now banned Awami League, led by the supporters of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, ahead of a tribunal verdict in her trial for the alleged crimes against humanity. Sheikh Hasina ruled Bangladesh for 15 years, and then in July 2024, Bangladesh saw a major student-led uprising over what they claimed was for government job quotas. In real, it was a regime change executed by Americans. University campuses across Bangladesh became centers of protest, demanding merit-based recruitment and an end to what students called entrenched political favoritism. The protests escalated and government forces cracked down with tear gas, rubber bullets and live ammunition. On August 5th, 2024, after weeks of violent clashes that left hundreds dead and thousands injured, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigned and fled to India. Her departure marked a seismic shift in Bangladeshi politics. Yunus, Nobel Peace Prize laureate, was installed as the head of an interim government just days later. After Yunus assumed power, his administration introduced the July National Charter, allegedly a roadmap for political reforms. The charter calls for major institutional changes, including limiting the Prime Minister's term, strengthening presidential powers, increasing women's representation, expanding fundamental rights, and enhancing the judiciary's independence. On November 13, 2025, Yunus announced that a referendum on the charter will be held on the same day as the next parliamentary elections.
আমরা সকল বিষয় বিবেচনা করে সিদ্ধান্ত নিয়েছি যে আগামী জাতীয় সংসদ নির্বাচনের দিনেই গণভোটের আয়োজন করা হবে। অর্থাৎ জাতীয় নির্বাচনের মতো গণভোটও ফেব্রুয়ারির প্রথমার্ধে একই দিনে অনুষ্ঠিত হবে। এতে সংস্কারের লক্ষ্য কোনোভাবে বাধাগ্রস্ত হবে না। নির্বাচন আরও উৎসবমুখর ও সাশ্রয়ী হবে। গণভোট অনুষ্ঠানের লক্ষ্যে উপযুক্ত সময়ে প্রয়োজনীয় আইন প্রণয়ন করা হবে।
He reiterated that holding both votes together would be cost-efficient and would reinforce the reform process. Bangladesh is bracing for impact as the International Tribunal Court gears up to pronounce a verdict on November 17th. Bangladeshi journalist Salahuddin Shoaib Chaudhary says that the situation in the country remains tense as people do not know what to expect.
Sheikh Hasina faces total 583 cases, out of which she also faces 324 murder charges, and 27 of those cases are now pending with the International Crime Tribunal. What we understand as journalists that the architect prosecutors are looking for capital punishment. So possibly they are going to hand Sheikh Hasina either death penalty or lifetime imprisonment. So for a leader like Sheikh Hasina, who was former Prime Minister and who is heading one of the two largest parties in this country, of course the situation here is kind of, as I said, fearful. People are absolutely uncertain. They don't know what may happen.
As a verdict against Sheikh Hasina is awaited, Bangladesh braces for impact with more violence predicted.
The political climate in Bangladesh has been steadily worsening since last July. You know, the so-called spontaneous student uprising has very quickly been unmasked as a very carefully crafted, meticulously designed, to use the words of Muhammad Yunus himself, a meticulously designed regime change operation. This regime change operation since last August has been marked by increasing violence within the country, perpetrated more and more by the interim government and its various agencies, and together with this, a declining support for what the interim regime has in mind. One must understand that the real power behind the interim regime within Bangladesh is the Jamaat-e-Islami. And the Jamaat-e-Islami has declared, together with the individual advisors to Muhammad Yunus in his interim regime, that they want a caliphate in Bangladesh. They want Sharia law, and they have been moving steadily in that direction. We do know also that Pakistan has been, because Pakistan was the main conduit backed by external forces for the regime change operation, and they have been exerting themselves more and more, and Pakistani terrorist organizations like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed have been openly trying to increase their influence in Bangladesh.
Over the recent months, political tension has translated into security crackdowns. In the days leading up to the lockdown on November 13th, Dhaka saw multiple violent incidents. Over 30 crude bombs exploded in different parts of the city. Buses and vehicles were set ablaze, and several government and private offices were torched. A firebomb was thrown at a government office in Gopalganj district, which is Hasina's ancestral home and a stronghold for a party. The government has pinned the blame of these violent attacks on Awami League. Amidst this, economy in Bangladesh is also reportedly collapsing under the Yunus administration, and is now feared that local terrorist outfits are planning a terror attack in Bangladesh on November 17th, the same day the verdict against Sheikh Hasina will be out.
As we know that during the last 15 months, Bangladesh did not receive even $1 as foreign investment. 6 million people have already become unemployed, factories are shut down, economy is collapsing, and to my understanding, the banks are becoming empty. So if this situation becomes further worsened on 17th of November, I think this is going to have a very bad impact for Bangladesh. At the same time, some of the local Islamic and jihadist outfits, with the collaboration of Pakistani ISIS, they are also plotting numerous terrorist projects in Bangladesh, including some terrorist plots eyeing on India.
As a verdict against Hasina is awaited, a question lurks. How does it impact India-Bangladesh relations given India's firm support for Sheikh Hasina?
So India has been carefully watching all these developments, and we feel, and I very strongly support what the government has been saying, that the answer to this is to have free, fair, inclusive and credible elections in Bangladesh. And there is no question of banning any political party from participating in these elections. The Yunus regime has tried to ban the activities of the Awami League, but clearly, as we have seen in the events over the last 2-3 days, that this has not succeeded at all. In fact, the support for the Awami League is still there and very strong. There is the other major party, the BNP, and they have now started expressing themselves, saying that they also would like the Awami League to participate, because the BNP, who had originally thought that they would be a natural successor to the Sheikh Hasina regime, the BNP is also split down the middle. There is a moderate faction of the BNP that fully supports the values of the liberation war, and there is a pro-Jamaat faction of the BNP, which is led by the hardliners, and they are determined to align with Jamaat. In any case, even if they win the election, they would align with Jamaat, and their candidates would in any case be supported by the Jamaat. So this is a very difficult situation, but if free, fair, inclusive and credible elections are held in Bangladesh, whichever party wins, there will be no problem, because India will be more than willing to do business with that party and to ensure that in Bangladesh we have a friendly government because the people support the values of the liberation war. They support secularism and democracy in Bangladesh.
India's support for Hasina has always been overt, giving her shelter after she was ousted out of her own country. The lockdown, the arson, and demonstrations underscored the fragile balance between political protest, public order, and ongoing reforms. As the tribunal prepares to announce a verdict against Hasina and her fate hangs in balance, the nation waits and the city holds its breath.